Which quarterback is going to have the biggest drop off this year in the NFL? Which quarterback is going to have the biggest drop off this year in the NFL? Last year's leaders in passing yards were Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith, Sam Darnold. Now, some of those were what you might call plastic yards and racking up stats in different ways. Just behind them were Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert, and Brock Purdy. Now, total QBR, which is the stat that matters the most to most of us, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Jayden Daniels were the top four. Jordan Love was number 5. Jared Goff was number 6. Brock Purdy was number 7. Patrick Mahomes was number 8 in a down year. Kyler Murray was number 9. Jalen Hurts was number 10. In terms of the tier 1 quarterbacks, even though he was down below the other ones this past year, still Patrick Mahomes is in the tier 1 with Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow. That is tier 1. There is no other tier. There is no tier. There's nobody else that belongs in that tier as of right now. We're going to talk about who could get into that tier, but that's not the question for today. The question for today is who is going to have the biggest drop off at quarterback. Could Jordan Love fall? Could Jayden Daniels fall? There's reason for concern about both of them. Obviously, Jared Goff, no one ever wants to believe in. So we're going to have to question that. What about keeping on going? Looking at this top 10 to keep talking about it. There's obviously Brock Purdy, who now has his money finally. Kyler Murray, who has, kind of stayed consistent. And then Jalen Hurts, who's everybody's bringing up. I'm going to go out on a limb and say something very, very, very controversial. Jayden Daniels is going to have the biggest drop-off of any quarterback in 2025. Jayden Daniels last year threw for 3,568 yards, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, a 70.6 total QBR, 4th in the nation, or 4th in the league. What really helped, obviously, was he rushed for another 891 yards and 6 touchdowns. Guys, I'm sorry. We have seen this 1,000 times over. We saw it in Washington. Running quarterbacks, not pass-first quarterbacks that rack up yards, but running quarterbacks most of the time get figured out their second year and have a big drop-off. Now, Jayden Daniels had a better first year than most of those running quarterbacks I'm talking about. One of the best of all time. I'm not here to deny that. But here's who Jayden Daniels could remind you of, and this may make you nervous if you are a Commander Sam. He's not a running quarterback who I'm about to name, per se. He is mobile, but he had a style of play that defenses weren't ready for. And then he had a big drop-off. I'm talking about C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud threw for over 4,000 yards, had a total QBR of 58.3, a quarterback rating of 100.8, and did rush for 167 yards and 3 touchdowns his first year in the NFL. Last year, C.J. Stroud had a bit of a drop-off, and no one noticed it. Yes, his completion percentage only went down from 63.9 to 63.2, but he threw for nearly 400 fewer yards, went from averaging 8.2 yards per attempt to 7 yards per attempt, had 20 touchdowns to 12 interceptions after 23 touchdowns to 5 interceptions his first year. Total QBR from 58.3 to 49.8. Quarterback rating in general from 100.8 to 87. Did rush for about 60 more yards. The point is, you saw regression in C.J. Stroud from year 1 to year two, and it seemed very clear that defensive coordinators had figured it out. I think there is a very strong chance Jayden Daniels undergoes the same thing. He's much more reliant on his legs than C.J. Stroud was, okay? And again, completed 69% of his passes. Again, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. I get all of that, and I bow down to what he was able to do on that front. But we also have to point out that defenses weren't ready for what he brought to the table. I don't think there's any doubt in that, honestly. And when you consider that, look, let's be fair. It's really hard to think that he's going to be able to do the same thing next year. We all remember RG3 when he played for Washington. RG3 obviously was rookie of the year for Washington in 2012. Now we know the story of him demanding that he be allowed to be more like Peyton Manning after his first year and shattering his knee and all of that. That's all true. But still, at the end of the day, his first year, his rookie year, he completed 65.6% of his passes for 3,200 yards, 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, had a 68 QBR, 102.4 quarterback rating, a close total QBR to what Jayden Daniels had, and also rushed for 850 yards and 7 touchdowns. Now, Jayden Daniels is a much better. It seems like he's going to be a much more amenable player than RG3. RG3 had so many other issues that he brought to the team that that you can't overlook. But at the same time, even when you factor in his injury, he got figured out his next year. He got figured out, and it does get hard for these type of quarterbacks to stay consistently good, particularly when Jayden Daniels is, yes, 6'4", 210, but at the same time, you worry about the injuries. That's not exactly the biggest guy on the block, okay? So, when you want your quarterback somewhat to be physically gifted in a way that many are. Cam Newton was 6'5", 245. That's why he was able to last so long doing what he did. He could take the hits. He just could. Most quarterbacks can't do that, and I don't think Jayden Daniels will. So my money is on Jayden Daniels having the biggest drop-off of anybody this upcoming year. And that may be difficult for a lot of people to accept, but because I particularly if you live in Washington. By the way, one of the hard things about living and playing in Washington, you get swept up into being an elite quarterback for them. Washington has had 3 Super Bowl titles in its history with 3 different quarterbacks, all within a 7-year span. Yes, one was the freak injury to Joe Theismann, but the truth of the matter is nobody can handle being a good quarterback in Washington because you get swept up in way too much hype, and that is a huge problem. And I worry for Jayden Daniels that that's going to happen to him. Hope it doesn't. Hope it doesn't. And it's not like Jayden Daniels, to Jayden Daniels' credit, it's not like Jayden Daniels wasn't out here rising to the occasion against the most elite defenses. Okay, Jayden Daniels had his best game, the third from the last week last year against Philly, funny enough, leading them to a 36-33 win over the Eagles, had a 96.3 total QBR, but I'm not sure that he can keep that up. I'm sorry. I'm just not. I haven't seen evidence of these type of quarterbacks being able to do that. And Jayden Daniels, again, yes, he completed 69% of his passes. He's not even as much as a pocket passer as CJ Stroud is. Not even close. You have to wonder if defenses are going to figure him out this year and if he's going to be a much more mid quarterback. I see him dropping from, I don't know, total QBR dropping into the 50s, or quarterback rating dropping into the 90s. Again, biggest drop off doesn't mean he'll be bad. I just don't think he will be threatening for a top 5 quarterback in the NFL again. Just don't think it's going to happen. But we're going to see how that all plays out. On Thursday, I'm going to give you my quarterbacks who I think are going to take the biggest leap in 2025.